The Season 5 trailer wastes absolutely no time before throwing us back into the mystery that has kept everyone guessing for years. There are no clear answers, no direct explanations, and definitely no confirmation that anyone is finally safe. Instead, the trailer quietly builds tension with every frame, making it feel as though the town itself has changed after everything that happened in Season 4. And the biggest reveal, the one that instantly grabbed everyone's attention, is the lighthouse. Fans have been talking about this place for years. It has appeared in visions, dreams, and strange clues scattered throughout the story, but now it looks like our characters have finally reached it. At first glance, that sounds like a major victory. After all, every mystery series usually has one location that holds the answers. But if From has taught us anything, it's that every answer only creates even bigger questions. So instead of asking whether the lighthouse is important, we should be asking something far more terrifying. Why did the town allow them to find it now? That single question completely changes the way we look at the trailer. Nothing in this world ever happens by accident. Every road, every symbol, every monster, and every strange coincidence feels like part of a much larger design. If the lighthouse truly was hidden all this time, then someone or something finally wanted them to discover it. And that possibility is honestly much scarier than the lighthouse remaining hidden forever. One detail that immediately stands out is the mood of the trailer itself. Normally, discovering a long-lost location would be filmed as a hopeful moment, but here, the atmosphere feels heavy, cold, and almost haunted. Even before anything dangerous appears, there's an overwhelming feeling that something is terribly wrong. The trailer doesn't celebrate the discovery. Instead, it makes the lighthouse feel like another warning. That could mean the lighthouse was never meant to save anyone. Perhaps it was always meant to guide people deeper into the trap. Think about everything we've already seen throughout the series. Every time the survivors believed they had found an escape route, it eventually led them into another mystery. The tunnels answered one question, but revealed countless more. The faraway trees looked like magical shortcuts, but no one could ever predict where they would actually lead. Even the visions that certain characters experienced often helped them survive, while at the same time pushing them toward even greater danger. Hope has always been dangerous inside this town. Every glimpse of freedom usually comes with an enormous price. The lighthouse may simply be the newest version of that same cruel pattern. It could look like salvation while secretly serving an entirely different purpose. Some fans even believe that the lighthouse isn't guiding people out of the town at all. Instead, it may be guiding something else into the town. If that's true, then reaching the lighthouse may have activated the next stage of whatever nightmare controls this place. Suddenly, the monsters we've known since Season 1 might not even be the biggest threat anymore. The trailer quietly hints that the rules could be changing once again. And that's exactly what makes these few seconds so unsettling. Every season introduces new layers to the mystery instead of removing old ones. Rather than solving the puzzle, the characters only discover that the puzzle is much larger than they ever imagined. Another fascinating detail is how carefully the trailer avoids showing complete explanations. We see frightened expressions, brief flashes of movement, mysterious locations, and symbols that seem strangely familiar. But nothing is shown for long enough to fully flashes of movement, mysterious locations, and symbols that seem strangely familiar. But nothing is shown for long enough to fully to start new theories rather than confirm old ones. That means some of the biggest clues might actually be hiding in the smallest moments. A symbol carved into a wall, an unusual object sitting in the background, or even the direction a character is looking could become incredibly important later. From has always rewarded viewers who pay attention to tiny details. Things that seemed meaningless in earlier seasons eventually became major pieces of the larger mystery. Because of that history, every frame of this trailer deserves to be examined carefully. But perhaps the most chilling possibility is that the lighthouse doesn't represent the end of the journey. It represents the beginning of something far worse. Imagine if everything the survivors have experienced until now was only preparing them for what lies beyond that lighthouse. Imagine if escaping the town was never the real objective. What if understanding the true nature of the place is far more dangerous than simply surviving inside it? The trailer leaves us with exactly that feeling. Instead of making us believe the mystery is finally ending, it makes the entire story feel even bigger than before. And if that impression is correct, then Season 5 may not just answer long-standing questions. It could completely change everything we thought we knew about the town, the monsters, and the invisible force that has been controlling every move from the very beginning. But the lighthouse isn't the only mystery hidden inside this trailer. If you slow down every scene and focus on the background instead of the characters, another disturbing pattern begins to appear. The town itself feels different. It doesn't look like the same place our survivors have been struggling to survive in for the last 4 seasons. Something has shifted. The atmosphere is darker, the silence feels heavier, and almost every character carries the expression of someone who has already seen something they cannot explain. It's almost as if the town has entered an entirely new phase. And that's a terrifying thought, because every time the rules of this place change, people end up paying the price. One theory that has exploded among fans is that finding the lighthouse may have awakened whatever has been sleeping beneath this entire mystery. Think back to everything we've witnessed so far. The monsters have always behaved according to certain rules. They only come out at night. They move slowly, they speak calmly, they enjoy playing with their victims before attacking. Those rules made them predictable, at least to some extent. But what if those rules were never permanent? What if they only existed because something much more powerful was waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? The trailer seems to hint that the balance keeping this nightmare under control is beginning to collapse. If that's true, then Season 5 may introduce dangers that make the creatures we've feared since Season 1 look like only the beginning. And another detail that cannot be ignored is the emotional state of the survivors. Everyone looks exhausted, but it's more than simple physical exhaustion. Their expressions suggest that they are losing confidence in everything they once believed. That's incredibly important, because hope has always been the one thing keeping this group alive. Even when food became scarce, when people disappeared, or when impossible events shattered reality, they kept moving because they believed there had to be a way out. But now that belief seems weaker than ever, and if people stop believing they can escape, the town may become even more dangerous. Throughout the series, fear has never just been an emotion. It almost feels like a resource that this place feeds on. The more hopeless people become, the stronger the darkness appears to grow. If that connection is real, then the psychological battle may become even more important than the physical one. The trailer also raises serious questions about the visions that have haunted several characters throughout the series. Until now, many viewers assumed these visions were warnings designed to help the survivors avoid danger. But what if we've been looking at them the wrong way? What if every vision was carefully guiding certain people exactly where the town wanted them to go? That idea completely changes the meaning of countless scenes from previous seasons. Instead of resisting the town, the characters may have unknowingly been following its plan all along. Every strange dream, every mysterious voice, every unexplained symbol may have been part of one massive manipulation, stretching back to the very beginning. And if the lighthouse is the destination those visions have been leading toward, then reaching it may actually mean they've fallen into the trap exactly as intended. Then there are the symbols. Once again, the trailer quietly reminds us that these strange markings are far from random decorations. They've appeared in caves, tunnels, old buildings, mysterious objects, and even inside terrifying visions. Every season adds another piece to this puzzle without fully explaining what the symbols actually represent. Some fans believe they're ancient warnings left behind by previous victims. Others think they're part of a language belonging to whatever force controls the town. But there's another possibility that deserves attention. What if the symbols aren't meant to protect people at all? What if they're instructions? Imagine an ancient system guiding both the monsters and the trapped survivors toward a final objective that nobody fully understands. That would explain why these markings appear in so many different locations connected to the mystery. Instead of random clues, they may be signposts placed by the town itself. One of the biggest questions after watching this trailer is whether there are still unseen survivors somewhere beyond the areas we've explored. The world of From has always felt much larger than what we've actually seen on screen. More, imagine entire groups of survivors living under completely different rules. Imagine people who entered the town decades before Boyd and the others, but adapted in ways we haven't even considered. The trailer doesn't confirm anything like this, but it certainly leaves enough room for the possibility. And introducing another isolated group could completely reshape the story while answering some of the oldest questions fans have been asking since the very first episode. Perhaps the most unsettling clue is how little the trailer actually shows of the monsters themselves. That's unusual because they have always been one of the show's biggest sources of fear. Instead of focusing on them, the trailer seems much more interested in creating fear through uncertainty. That could be a deliberate decision. Maybe the monsters are no longer the main threat. Maybe something far older, far more intelligent, and far more powerful has finally stepped into the spotlight. The creatures we've known could simply be servants carrying out orders from a force we've never truly seen. If Season 5 reveals the intelligence behind the town, instead of just the creatures roaming its streets, then every mystery from previous seasons could suddenly connect into one much larger and far more terrifying story. And that's exactly why this trailer feels so different from everything that came before. Instead of promising answers, it promises escalation. Instead of closing the mystery, it opens an entirely new chapter. The lighthouse may be standing at the center of everything, but it feels less like the finish line and more like the doorway to the truth. The only question is whether our survivors are finally about to uncover that truth, or whether they're about to discover that escaping was never the real challenge at all. The real challenge may be surviving what comes next.